We're back in Val Thrones again today, doing another day of slalom. This is probably my last day before the races kick off again. Yeah, I got some timing going on the course, so that's good. Get a bit more intensity. Yesterday was a good day, and today is another nice weather day, blue skies, and another afternoon session. So yeah, we've had a few questions about how I got into racing and sort of that story about how I got into racing and what's my journey been like. So this is quite a long one as I'm quite old now. So my mum's family always skied. She's got some tales of her own. Maybe we'll interview Mum one day. Mum, do you want to be on? She's going to watch this. Mum, do you want to be on the vlog? So she got left in Austria when she was a young girl. So she was always around skiing. She did a tiny bit of racing when she was younger. So we're always very outdoorsy family. I wouldn't say we're sporty as such, but we were very outdoorsy. Lots of camping, lots of hiking, lots of stuff like that. So I've always loved being outside and in nature. It's always been my vibe. And climbing trees and all that sort of thing. When I was about 2 or 3, I think I was 2 or 3, my mum taught me how to ski. I say taught, I think she just took me to a flat slope where I could go straight and not like seriously hurt myself, and just let go of me and let me just keep going down and down and down until I figured out what was going on. So yeah, I did that in France when I was a young kid. It was just like normal sort of ski holidays. Obviously I can't really remember. From my impression it was just normal, sort of like 1 week a year, 2 week a year. In the first race I ever did was in Scotland, in Cairngorm, Scotland. My brother, my dad, we drove up because we're from the south of Scotland. So we drove up in the morning before the race. Like we must have got up at like 4 or 5ish, probably 4, sleeping in the car. And my big brother was racing as well. And it was a bit rainy, and we didn't really know what racing what it was really. And we got into the car park and we saw these kids with like 2 pairs of skis and stuff. I was really small, but it was very overwhelming even then. And then my big brother went, I don't want to race. And because he went, I don't want to race, I went, well, I'm not racing if he's not racing. My dad was like, you got to race. You can't just driven up from 5 in the morning. So but we did race, and I can't remember, I think I came second that race in the little minis race. I think there's probably only 2 of us in the race, to be honest. And then as we got a bit older, my parents bought a place in France, started going there more and more, and then we went to the ESF, the local ski school, the French ski school system, and we just went there every time we went. There was a guy called Alex. It was a long blonde haired crazy French man, and we used to do like the highest level of ESF with them. And my favourite was always doing the race. We do races, but it wasn't in a course. It was like he basically at the end of the day, when it was all bumpy and muggly, he'd be like, "All right, everyone, last one down's a scaredy cat or whatever." So we just raced down that. And I used to love doing that. He used to like just bomb down. I'm not sure this is allowed nowadays. I think they'd probably lose his job if he did that. So then, like every year, we'd go and do the same weeks with him. So he decided to stop that and he became the head of the ski school. So he wasn't instructing. So he was like, oh, you can join the local ski club if you want with the French kids. And so we did that, and I started doing that with the local ski club in France. I didn't speak a word, so I now understand a lot of French, but I don't speak that much because I was very, very shy. So I joined the local ski club and went through the French system a little bit. As well as that, at the same time, I was in Scotland. I'm not sure there still is, there might still be, but there used to be a bursary for the BSA, the British Ski Academy. So if you're from the north of Scotland, you got 6 weeks if you won it, and in the south you got 3 weeks. So I won that a few times. So then I started doing some British skier stuff, and at the same time I was doing dry slope in the summer. So that was all at the same time. So a French ski club, dry slope. I was a bit ski mad. I just love being in the mountains. And then I'm about to go for the chairlift, so we'll save the rest of it till later on. So first run done, big mistake in the middle, so I think it should be fairly easy to improve on those times. So where was I on talking about my journey through ski racing? So when I was doing those 3 sort of, or was it dry slope, which is where I really first started hitting gates, and then there was the Oz Club, which is where I was, the Oz Club, the French club, and a little bit of BSA as well, the British system. So I did that until I was probably around under 16. And then it changes when you're in under 16, and it goes to a thing called Fizz, which is basically after that you're all on the same technically, if when you are past that, you could race the best in the world. So it's called Fizz, and it becomes a point system, and then you can go and do World Cups if you're good enough, quick enough. As I got older in the under 16s, I started to do longer and longer out in the season, and we started going out for most of the season actually. When I was a kid, you'll soon realise it's sort of why we do things. My family, my parents sort of instilled a sense of doing things your own way, making things work in maybe a bit of an unorthodox way. We were technically we weren't home educated for half the year, but it was like my mum basically told the teachers, which is like a normal school, like a state school, and we just went to the teachers and said, look, I'm not going to be here for 4 months. What are we going to do? Can I have a textbook, please? And they'd give me the textbook, and then I'd sit down in France and try to figure it out. It was home educated technically, but it was mainly figure it out if you want to keep skiing. So I figured it out. So yeah, I think I learned quite a lot doing that actually. You learn a lot in a rogue way, and you learn a lot about skiing. So it wasn't about, we weren't out for the season to try and become world champions at ski racing. I think it was more, my mum thought it was very good for us, my parents thought it was very good for me, and my little brother did it as well. So I think it was obviously she wanted us to be good at skiing, but it wasn't like it was a boot camp, because we weren't doing. We were just living in France basically. We did 3 days skiing with the club, and then the rest of the time I just lived in France. Nothing like, we weren't like training almost. It was just like we were in France skiing a lot. So then we got to 16, and then I had school exams back at home. I stopped racing as much. I stopped skiing as much. We sort of decided that probably wasn't the best idea to miss half the year when I was doing exams. Actually, looking back, it probably would have been a better idea to do that, because I did worse. When I started going to school more, I started paying attention less and had less pressure on myself. I had less on me, and it was more just like, oh, I'm at school all the time, so I should do right. So then I did that for a few years, did a lot less skiing until I was about 18. I kind of discovered what alcohol and girls were then as well. So I got a bit distracted. I wasn't really that bothered by skiing. I was just wanting to go to house parties in Scotland and get drunk with my mates. And then I had my last year of school, and I decided this school isn't for me, and to do a season sort of like I do now on my own, without an academy and without a structure, I'd say. And I couldn't even drive. I was 17 then. So me and one other friend, big Rory, me and Rory decided we're going to do our own thing. And to be honest, we're too young for it. We weren't disciplined enough. We didn't have the skills. Not necessarily we were just sort of young, and we had a blast. We had a great fun, but it wasn't great for our racing. But for life, good stories, we've got some good stories for then. Probably not rated for this channel. So that was a really fun year, but it probably wasn't best for my racing. So we decided to go back to BSA. We did some full seasons at BSA after that, which is where I met Elsa, who does these videos. And then I was at BSA for a few years. So the academies normally work because you sign up for a year, and then you they have a base like we do now, but they obviously have coaches and house parents and organisation, their own vans, and you're not driving, and all organised for you. So I went to British Ski Academy for 2 or 3 years then, again just racing, and then I slowly started taking it more and more seriously. When I was a kid, I was quite good when I was there. I wasn't bad when I was a kid, but I wasn't great. I was sort of right middle of the pack, especially in France. I was very, very average. In the UK, I was probably top 2 or 3 for my year of birth, but always sort of never the best ever, the best in the group. But I'm going to tell you that next lift, because again I'm running out of time. Actually, I'm waiting for Elsa, so I might as well carry on talking. I did a few years at BSA full time, and then the academies are all pretty much very similar in how they're set up. They're sort of designed for I'd say kids all the way up to maybe 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 22, anyway, young 20s in Britain. So I went from BSA to XL Academy, which is where I was for a few years. As I said, working with Brad Morgan, legend of the game. That's where I started taking it. Well, I always was slowly taking it more and more seriously. But I'd say that's probably where I started really taking it quite seriously. And I was always through this period, I was always so the British team is every year of birth, you have to get a certain points to get on the British team. So I was always a few points behind, just a little bit behind this last standard that they wanted for the British team, which I guess is still the same now. But so I started I really wanted that British team status for a while. And then after that, I got a bit older than everyone else, and there was a little bit of a miscommunication with the team at the end with Excel. So then I decided to start trying to do things on my own again with Dave, like I did the few years before with Rory, as I said. This time Elsa was with me. No Rory. Rory's bad influence. If anyone knows Rory Farron, stay away from him, the bad influence, a wrong'un. So yeah, after that, I started doing it on my own. It was still a bit of a challenge at the start, but it was easier because I had a bit more life skills and I was a bit more mature, and I wasn't drinking so much, and I was taking it quite seriously. So this is the 4th year of doing that now, so that's about where you're at now. The goals for this year, going forward, is to get on the Europa Cup team and to start doing Europa Cup. So throughout Fizz, you start on the easiest races, which are you get entry leagues and you get citizen races. Then there's a big variation in Fizz races as well, and then you get Europa Cup and World Cup. So that's kind of the ladder. That is where I'm at now. I'm trying to break onto that Europa Cup level. I've been doing it for quite a while, as you can tell, as it's been 3 chairlifts of me waffling at you about what happened and how we did things. So now it's quite result based, that if I don't get the results I want, I'm going to stop. Mainly there's financial reasons, and there's also if I'm not getting anywhere with it, I don't want to just take the piss. So you want to make a momentum and moving forward. So that is why I've got a year to become a ski racer. I think that is the story for this nothing game. Oh, and then we started skiing with Gabe around 3 years ago. Young Gabe, and he was he didn't want to do any Fizz races at the start. He was just a Basie man, which is the ski instructors association. I went, Gabe, you got to come along and just get your ass handed to you in Fizz races, which is what happens to most people unless you're some sort of god, some under 16 god. So Gabe is in the process of getting his ass handed to him. 3 years later,
by a 16-year-old.
We've getting beaten up by little French children, metaphorically. Resilience training is what we call hard races. Is resilience training. That's what we call it. Character building, resilience training, getting the morale up really high. So I think that is the journey, and the journey will continue because we're going to get the points. We're going to get a sponsor, and we're going to go to the moon. I was also asked what level the other guys are on. I don't want to be mean here, but there's a variation of guys. A lot of the guys have less experience. They're sort of anywhere from just starting their Fizz racing. So when Gabe joined us, he was just starting Fizz racing, and he's got quite good now. But at the beginning, he had full ascend, but not the most technique. But I love it. So the guys I train with is a right variation of group guys. So there's there's 4 of us. Some of the guys are just about sub 100, 80 points, and then there's a couple of guys just above 100. So no, they're not quite at Europa Cup level, is what we got asked. Is there other guys trying to get to Europa Cup? So no, they're a bit behind, a little bit less experienced. They're also younger, quite a bit younger. So yeah, that answers that one, I think. But they're good. They've got potential, got lots of send, full of enthusiasm. And that's the most important thing. That's it. Hope I didn't miss anything. Peace. That's my life story. Hashtag Mucket Ski Club, Dry Slope Ski Club, where I started. It is Gordon Polly, best coach in the world. He also sold wine. That was his real job. Then he did a ski coach on the side. Right, bye.